Huge NBA news that came in just a few moments ago, late last night. Jamal Murray, star guard of the Nuggets, went down, non-contact injury, going in for a layup, came down on his left leg, crumpled to the floor, was screaming in pain, holding his knee. The locker room was shaken afterwards. Head coach Michael Malone said, listen, we're just waiting for the MRI. Everybody's on edge right now. And it's just come in. Nugget star has a torn ACL. He is out indefinitely. And, look, when you have a torn ACL, this means you're going to be out for the rest of the season. And suddenly a Nuggets team that was rising now looks to try to find some way forward in a loaded Western Conference. This changes everything in the NBA and the Western Conference right now. Joining us now on the hotline, longtime friend of the show. You can follow him on Twitter at the Ryan Hollins. That's at the Ryan Hollins. 45 years in the NBA now, one of the best analysts out there. What's up, dog? What's happening?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Hey, so what's your reaction to this Jamal Murray news? I know it's new. It just came in, torn ACL after what happened last night.
For one, prayers up for Jamal Murray and him and his mental state of being and his family and everything. It's just, injury is just the ugly head of sports that we, don't always talk about. And what's even sadder is that Jamal is one of the young emerging stars in our league. And I know the biggest questions with Jamal, a guy who I competed against even as a young age when he was just headed out of high school, playing for the Canadian national team. You question his consistency. You knew he could score the basketball, but it really had looked like Jamal had taken that next step. It was kind of pushing the cusp of superstardom when he knocked out the Utah Jazz out the playoffs, knocked the Clippers out. He made shot after shot after shot and looked like this was going to be a run for the Nuggets to go on. This absolutely impacts the Western Conference. You see the window just start to open up for LeBron James and Anthony Davis and the Lakers and the Clippers, because I'm going to tell you one thing. If you're the Clippers, they just come out and they just put hands on the Clippers. Ain't nothing worse than being up and losing the lead. So, I don't want to say the Clippers are throwing a party at someone else's expense, but, there's even more a sense of urgency behind what that team can come out and do. But like I said, before we even get to the talk, the sports talk, just prayers up for Jamal Murray and his overall well-being, and you wish him a healthy and speedy recovery.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? Let me ask you this. We know the league had the shortest offseason in sports history, shorter than any offseason for baseball, football, you name it. And they want to condense all these games here in April to make up for the losses due to COVID. And does the league need to really look at how it handles the schedule? Because they are backloading these schedules in April when there's no NFL, no March Madness. And I do wonder, we've seen a ton of stars injured this year. Does the league bear some responsibility for this, and do they need to reassess the scheduling and maybe even the season length?
Not even close. When the players come to the table and they want that money and the salary cap to go up, and you want $20 million and $25 million and $30 million, there's no complaints there. I think the responsibility falls upon the teams. For instance, the Los Angeles Lakers, hats off. They did not force Anthony Davis back to a speedy, or LeBron James to a speedy time off. Those guys are taking their time because they know how important and valuable they are to their organization. The Lakers went out and got the two pretty much 6 men of the year in Schroeder and Harrell to kind of shore up their bench. So you had to kind of prepare for the storm, knowing that you had a short off season and you can't load your stars with the same type of minutes. And with COVID, the short off season, you are seeing the effect. Look at the Miami Heat and the slow start that they came out to. Those teams that made long runs in the bubble are coming out and feeling it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you know why the league is able to pay players so much? Because they get so much from the sponsors. And when you cut out the sponsors' games and they can't make the money that they're making, they might not be as quick to give the revenue to the league as they once were. You don't want to go out and lose a big-time partner like a Gatorade or a Nike or a McDonald's. You want to make good on your half of the bargain. So when you're talking money and you're talking business, that's the language that's spoken, and you want to get back on track. You don't want to have a funky, weird season where we're starting, in December always, and people are throwing that starting December or starting February always. This is just good. No, it's not good, because There's money that players are used to making, and it's part of the rigors of the season, and it's why hats off to the Lakers and teams that have been willing to dig into their bench. But unfortunately, yeah, we've seen injuries, and we've seen it harbor and hit the top teams in the league that went the furthest.
Ryan, how much of it, this is something else we got into, how much of it is players playing too much basketball in the offseason? Because some of these guys, they finish and then, you see like LeBron win a championship and then a couple of days later it's, hey, look at this dunk he had when he and Wade and these guys are playing. It's like, dude, really? You're going playing pickup, up and down the floor? I mean, is it too much basketball in the offseason?
I'd actually counteract that, I say as a guy who played 10 years, not 45. I'd love to play 45 years in this league. At least I'll take the 45, but, you got to sharpen your skills in the off season. And some of the best seasons that I ever had as a pro, I kid you not, were when I played either USA basketball, or I competed in a full Drew League season, and I wasn't just kind of standing around. But if anything, it's backwards. These players now, they don't play basketball. They don't play pickup ball. They don't get out there in the off season and play. That it's really a lost art. These guys, so maybe a mix where these guys, all they do is train and get up shots. So they may need to play more basketball to condition themselves. LeBron James doesn't take days off because his body is routine to just go and play and play and play, and his body clock, that's what it speaks to. So I don't think that these guys should be playing less basketball, possibly play more.
Oh, wow, Ryan. Geez, play more. I want to say, I'm going to push back against does the NFL bear any responsibility? Like, you're looking at a short-term gain for long-term pain if you're like, hey, we need that money. Because an ACL injury to a scoring machine who's a shooting guard, I know that the improved science and medicine, yeah, these guys are recovering quicker, and it's almost the same, but I'm not so sure about that. I don't know that I would take a little bit of money
who
now.
Who told you to run your guy into the ground? So as a team, you gotta load manage your guys, and even if they are 26, 27 years old, Jay, you gotta load manage them, right? I think that's on the team, that's on the coach, that's on the training staff, with all due respect.
So the NBA backloaded the schedule. Everybody's playing 4 games a week, basically, 3 or 4 games a week in the month of April. So
hey, Jason,
in the middle of a heated playoff race in the West. Hold up.
Jason,
you don't want to
happen during the lockout.
What's that?
So when we had the NBA's lockout, you remember it, right?
Yeah.
So we're used to a back-to-back, and all we do is cry and complain on back-to-backs. When we came back, we had triple back-to-backs, game. And you know what, Jason, as a pro, if you're not conditioned to get in and get your work in on the days off the same way on a work day, that's your problem. When I would play, I would go a full month without having a day off, because the very next day when we're not playing, I'm in there busting my butt to do what I need to do. After a game, if I played big minutes, I go rest. If I didn't play big minutes, I go get on the bike and run and train. So if these guys aren't taking care of and conditioning their bodies, I don't want to say it's on them, but it's part of the business, Jay. And as a team, if you don't have the temperature of your star and he's fatigued and I don't know the situation with Jamal Murray, sometimes they're freak accidents, but you got to be attentive to your star's needs, and you can't run him into the ground.
Yeah, but if you don't have your star anymore, how can you got nothing? Like, without Jamal Murray, I know Jokic is a star, but Jamal Murray's a top 15, 20 player in the league.
MVP candidate is nothing. MVP, come on, dude. And the reason that Nikola Jokic is an MVP candidate is strongly because the year that he was making his big push, Murray had missed time. Barton had missed time. He was the only consistent on the Nuggets roster. They were winning games, so don't tell me they were scripted.
You can't compare a big guy's minutes to Jamal Murray's minutes. Come on, Jamal Murray's
creating.
Nikola
Jokic, when you lead at one point in the year, he led the team in every statistical category: points, rebounds, steals, assists, block shots. And I think he lost block shots to Michael Porter Jr. the last I looked. Are you kidding me?
But
who would you rather have, Murray or Jokic? It's not even a contest.
Yeah, I think it's closer than the experts think. But again, you can't compare the minutes of a big guy like Jokic to those of Jamal Murray, who's chasing around usually the best opposing guard, and he's creating off the pick and roll. Jokic is a great passer, but he's not
chasing the best. Jamal Murray's not chasing the best opposing guard. They're hiding Jamal on defense. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Stop.
They're going to bust
really?
That ain't Jamal.
They're hiding
Murray.
Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray.
Listen, they ain't doing that. That ain't his strong suit. Them other guys there to play defense. He there to get buckets, okay? That ain't his strong suit.
Campazzo or whatever that guy's name is. He can't guard a chair, okay? Just stop. Jamal
God.
Murray's playing defense. He's not an elite defender.
No, he's not, man.
Stop it.
That's
This
why
idea-
they ain't going off this year.
Now, Ryan, you're upsetting me because you're ruining my plan of going to Fox Sports Radio and saying I need load management. Like, I can't do 5 shows a week. I need like 4 shows a week, maybe a couple of days. I need personal time, like Kyrie. I need some time, man. I can't keep doing 5. Times have changed, man. I'm doing more radio and doing more things. I can't do this like I used to.
Oh my gosh, load management.
You need radio load management, man. Ryan Hollins with us here, Fox Sports Radio. Hey, really quick on this because we got into this a little bit earlier. Steph Curry, 53 last night, topping Wilt Chamberlain. Now he's the all-time leading scorer for Golden State. Does he stay with them long-term, or in a year is he looking and he goes someplace else because the era of the Warriors and winning championships is over?
I honestly can't see Steph Curry anywhere else. And, you got to look at how indicative of should he leave of how he treated the time when he was out last year. This guy was itching to get back on the court. He hasn't lacked for effort, as we've seen last night. So I really can't see Steph leaving the Bay. This was a guy who, grew up in Charlotte and was there with his dad. And, Steph is a simple lifestyle type of guy. But I will throw this out. If Steph Curry was to leave anywhere and go play somewhere, and I would love to see him with LeBron on the Lakers, don't get me wrong. I would love to see that. It's going to be Charlotte. He's going to go back home. Charlotte is home. His dad works there in television, on TV. I remember when he was a young kid, a little guy, he'd come and sit on the table, the training room table, wouldn't even say a peep or a word to anybody. And you're like, oh, wow, that is Steph. I forgot he was in there, But if he goes anywhere, it'll be back home. It will be back home to Charlotte. So I think if there's a move, it would just be a homecoming tour. If anything.
More likely to leave Steph Curry or Kawhi Leonard bolting the Clippers if they can't get out of the second round this year?
I would say Kawhi in the sense that it's tough because Kawhi's home. There's not much more he can ask for, and everything has been catered around him. So I really would say neither, but I would say maybe Kawhi because he toots to his own drum. There's no rhyme or reason, right now. Hey, I can logic out Steph Curry and why he may make her feel somewhere or have voice, but Kawhi's like San Antonio, Popovich, rings, Tim Duncan, I'm out, guys. Like if he feels like there's another situation, he has the Clippers at bay, he can get up and go. We've seen LeBron James do it and go other places, but the Clippers are committed to build around Kawhi. But in comparative to Steph as a Laker or Kawhi going elsewhere, I would give more of a chance to Kawhi, even though I don't think any of those guys would go.
On Twitter, @the Ryan Hollins. That's @the Ryan Hollins. 10 years in the NBA. You see him on Fox, on ESPN. And a guy who tweeted the other day, the older he gets, the more he appreciates his father's R&B classics. So you can go do a huge favor. Go listen to Candy Girl now. Okay, you can go listen.